pjnet.tv. It's coming up on, well, it just now switched over, 9 o'clock, our bumper's running. We are recording, and we are streaming to multiple destinations, and we have a regularly scheduled guest making her first appearance as such tonight, and she's standing by in our green room, and our chat room's waiting. I say, let's switch to Studio 13. Well, good evening and welcome to pjnet.tv. I'm Coach Prasick and I am happy to be here. I am the luckiest man in the world. I get to sit here on this plywood bench. Yes, it is, in this barn, and bring you everyday Christians sharing their walk with Christ. And I'm excited about tonight for a special reason. Oh, before I get to that, if you are watching this on Facebook or YouTube, wherever, and it's live, we're so glad that you stopped scrolling and you're watching, and I hope that we bless you in so many ways, but we want to invite you to where the real party is, and that would be at, right over there, pjnet.tv, live chat room, and you can watch the same thing there, and there are people there who would love to welcome you and enjoy our fellowship there. Well, folks, tonight is a special night I've been looking forward to for some time. Many of you who are in our chat room know Katherine Pasour, but tonight she is making her first appearance as a regularly scheduled guest. So get ready for the third Thursday of each month to be joined by, Katherine, I so well remember it. Just, 3 years ago at I believe it was the North Carolina Christian Writers Conference. I was there not knowing what the heck I was doing, but I remember meeting you, and I thought, that lady has got a lot of energy and a lot of drive, and who would have known that our first meeting at that time would wind up here tonight the way it has. That is it's just great to have you. And we're going to talk about whatever the Lord has placed on your heart to talk about, but you have sent me a link to your blog at katherinepasour.com, and I read it, as I do, in preparation, but I failed to mention or failed to notice how often you blog. So could you tell us, if we go to katherinepasour.com, tomorrow, will there be a new blog, or next week, or next month, or how often do you update that?
Well, hi, Coach. It's so good to be here, and I like the way you introduced when you said ordinary Christians.
Did I say that? Well, that was a mistake. I used to say ordinary.
No, they are ordinary.
I used to say ordinary, literally, on our mission statement. I changed it to every day because I realized...
Maybe you did say every day.
Yeah, there really shouldn't be any such thing as an ordinary Christian, right?
Yeah, but God makes us extraordinary.
But
we're ordinary or every day until we get on that journey with Him.
Yeah.
But in answer to your question, sorry.
Go ahead.
In answer to your question about how often I blog, it's once a week, and I usually try to get it posted on Sunday evenings, but sometimes it's Monday, but it's once a week. So there'll be a new one on Sunday. I'm actually doing a series right now on the 23rd Psalm because it's been very meaningful for me. And this week's blog was the second in that series. So we're focusing on the second verse. And that's, I think you can see the picture of the ocean right there beside.
Did you take that picture, Katherine?
I did. I took.
And where is that?
It's on the Gulf Coast. I went to maybe not too far from you. We were up in the Panhandle, and
well, that could be St. George Island, Port St. Joe, Panama City, Destin.
Panama. We were close. Destin. Is that what you said?
Destin, Fort Walton Beach.
Destin. We were at Destin. Yeah, That's where it was a workshop for writers. Very intense, but gosh, on the Gulf Coast, it was in February and it was sunny and warm. Nice place to be. But the second verse of the 23rd 23rd Psalm is, He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters, and He restores my soul. And that was the title of my blog for this week, was He Restores My Soul. And, the 23rd Psalm was written by David, and he wrote it from the perspective of a shepherd. And my main premise, I guess, in my message this week was that we have a shepherd that leads us, the good shepherd. And as I was researching for the blog, I learned more about sheep than I'd ever known before. We often tend to think of sheep as not very smart, but in some ways they are. But sheep don't see very well, and they're timid, and they're afraid of water, that they might get rushed away in rushing water. And so that's why the shepherd leads them beside the quiet waters, because he knows they are afraid, but he doesn't mock their fears. He takes care of the sheep. He'll find water that is not moving fast, that's quiet and still and comforting, and that's where he will let them go to drink. And one thing,
Ben and JD are both in our chat room, so I'm sure that if we make any errors, we'll be corrected. But I learned something else on your blog today that was kind of useful in my walk. Is when they take the sheep out to pasture and they graze, they don't immediately take them to the water, because the shepherd knows that's not good for them. I didn't know that.
Now, if they're too hot, and I have horses, and so I can identify with it from that perspective. If you go out and ride your horse really hard and get them all hot and sweaty, you don't just bring them back in and let them drink as much as they want. It'll make them sick. And I'm sure JD could tell us what it does for cows too. But the smart thing about sheep is they trust their shepherd to take them where it's safe, to take care of them, to keep them safe from animals. And the sheep recognize the shepherd. They know who he is, and they trust him. And that's the really smart thing about sheep. I think we should learn that lesson from the sheep, to trust our shepherd, because we know who our shepherd is if we follow Christ. And in John, Jesus tells his disciples, I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. And we know that Jesus did that for us. We can trust him.
One of the things that struck me, or I reflected upon as I was reading your words, is, as you mentioned, sheep are not particularly smart. And they, if you took them to the water right after they ate, they would enjoy the water too much, and it would be bad for them. And sheep are not very smart, but yet at the same time, they're smart enough to know what they don't know, and trust, as you said, trust the shepherd. But contrast that with our human enlightenment. But God, the water, I'm hot, I'm thirsty, it'd be good. And when God, in his wisdom, says not a good time, we resist that, and we say, but God, you're what are you, some kind of cosmic killjoy? When really he's expressing our love for us. But the sheep know that they don't know, so therefore they trust the shepherd.
Yes, and the shepherd is wise enough to know when the sheep need to rest. And he takes them to the green pastures, and they rest and cool off, and then it's safe for them to drink water. And sometime God takes us to that place of rest, ready or not. He knows when we need it, and he will take us there. And it might be a bump on the head, or in my case, one example was I got run over by a horse. And I had all kinds of projects going on that I thought I just had to do. You and I were talking earlier about how to decide which thing we're going to do first in
The
a long list.
tyranny of the urgent.
Yes, the necessary things. How do we choose? And I think you mentioned who we're going to disappoint if we don't do their
Yeah.
task.
Who shall we disappoint this time? Yeah.
I had a lot of things on my list, but I was taking my horse out for uh, a walk. I'd given her a bath because she needed it, and I was taking her out for a walk to help her dry off. Well, our dog, who wouldn't hurt a fly normally, leaped out of the woods and scared the bejeebies out of my horse, and she ran over me. And when I was laying on my back on the ground, I was relieved that I was breathing and I could feel my toes and everything else. Um, and she was just standing there looking down at me like, "What are you doing down there?" But I got up and put her away in the pasture. But the next day, my leg was, or even just a few hours later, my leg was twice its size. And I still struggled to do all the things that I thought I had to do. But eventually, I had to go to the emergency room. And I was on crutches for 5, 6 weeks while a ruptured bursa was healing. And when the man that I did some research on for my blog, he wrote that sometimes God puts us on our back so we can look up
Amen.
and see Him and be engaged with Him. And that's what the shepherd does. He protects us, and He knows when we need rest. David wrote that message from his perspective of being a shepherd, and he was confident in his God. I view Psalm 23 as a message of trust and hope, and that's a message that we all need, especially now with everything that's going on. We need that message of hope.
Catherine, I was quite moved in your blog. What started out, we want to make ourselves busy. It contributes to our self-esteem. It contributes to our sense of worth. It contributes to our sense of we're serving God. We're serving the kingdom. But
It feels good.
it kind of, yeah, it does. And I think we neglect rest as the most spiritual thing we can occasionally do. And you mentioned that you had a career in education, and when retirement came about, there was a void.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there was a big void. I loved my job, and I still teach some part-time, but I loved the full-time aspect. Working with college students is just so rewarding, and I had a wonderful group of colleagues, and I just really, really missed my job. And so I did have a void, and my solution was to make myself as busy as possible, trying to fill up that emptiness, fill it up. And I took on a lot of new tasks. Even though I was busy already, I took on a lot of new tasks. But I recognized it wasn't just getting run over by a horse that woke me up. There were a lot of other factors that helped me come to the understanding that only Jesus can fill that void, that emptiness. I can't fill it up with busyness. I can't fill it up with tasks that give me satisfaction because I'm helping people. I can't fill it up with those things. I have to fill it up with fellowship with my Lord and engagement with Him and being in His Word and helping others to hear the Word of God, be a witness.
Well, and the thing is, in your story, I think we've all got a similar story if we'd be honest with ourselves. Those things that you were doing were well-intentioned and were, in fact, good things to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
But in our own foolishness, we didn't, the shepherd, I think the mistake here is you left the shepherd out. We leave out the shepherd. We hatch ideas on our own, and then we go to God and ask His blessings on our ideas.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Isn't that how it works? And
yeah.
and it's wrong. It's not wrong. It's misguided at so many levels, although it sounds like a great idea, because first of all, God didn't ask you to do it. So the likelihood of you doing well and Him blessing it kind of on the, I wouldn't put too many chips on that horse. The other thing is what we've effectively done is perhaps we didn't consider that God had someone he planned for that work, but whoops, you stepped in there. Mm-hmm. And now you've actually thwarted God's plan to some extent. And yes. Then when we finally, as you encountered this horse, put you on your back and you looked up, now you've got to go back to those people and say, you know what, I know I said I'd do this, but I'm not. Now you've made an even bigger mess. And I say we all do this, Catherine. It's not just you. It's an illustration. Yes. But
absolutely. Well, we're called to service. Part of being a Christian is being called to serve him, be the hands and feet of Jesus on earth. And so it's not that service is the wrong thing to do. It's not. It's the right thing to do. But if it begins to interfere with our relationship with our Lord, then we're too busy. If we don't have time to do our daily devotionals every morning, or if we don't have time to have a really active prayer life, then we're too busy. And our busyness can be as addicting as some other things. Just feeling like we're useful and doing good things can be.
Can I share
powerful?
Can I share a story that just came to mind as you're saying all that?
Sure.
At a young age, I was appointed Sunday school director at our small little hometown church. And our Sunday school averaged a couple of hundred in attendance. Of course, if you're Baptist, you kind of know the tradition and the drill. You have this envelope, and you put your name on the front, and there's a bunch of check boxes down there. Attendance, studied lesson, giving, blah blah. Mm-hmm. You have these little check boxes, so you check off things. Then you place your offering in the envelope and seal it, and then you put it in a little thing in your small group Bible study. Okay, from there, it goes out to the department. You have several small group classes in a department where these were tabulated and counted, and the amounts of the money, was totaled. So that was brought onto another ledger, and then from there it went to the church office where it was counted again, and the money taken out, the checks or money was taken out, counted again, retotaled, and I looked at this, and of course, we've got now 200 in Sunday school, 42 of which were involved in the process that I just described. And I said, well, they don't have time to study the Bible. They're busy counting check boxes and making all these spreadsheets. Not spreadsheets. They were literally pieces of paper back then. So I propose that we do this. Count how many people, collect the envelopes, send them to the church office, and count heads. Okay, we have this many people, so we know what our attendance is, but they're going to count it once. And that put about, 20 people, quote, out of work. But it put them in small group Bible study. You can get so involved in church work that you don't have time to worship, you don't have time to pray, and you don't have time to fellowship. Mm-hmm. What good is church to you then?
Right.
It's just a job.
It's a ritual and a routine, and that's the way we've always done it. If those kind of things overcome our worship and praise, then yes, you're right. What are we there for? Yes.
So we can get very busy doing the Lord's work to the point that we ourselves starve ourselves spiritually trying to serve others. Mm-hmm. Wow,
Absolutely, and He doesn't want He wants us to have time for that restoration. It's like sleep, we really do. Some people claim they don't need sleep, but sleep is really healing for the body. And so is being in close connection with God.
It is.
It's healing.
Next week on Sunday at KatherinePasour.com, you'll have a new blog. What's the next verse we're gonna that will be there?
The next verse. He guides me along the right paths for His name's sake.
So have you already gotten that written, or do you do that Saturday night?
I have started on it, but it's not ready yet. Actually, I like to walk, beside the still waters. I like to walk outside, and many times when I'm walking, I'm composing in my
Mm-hmm.
head.
Mm-hmm.
That really, that fresh air and being in the sunshine, or even if the sun is not shining, that just opens my mind, and I feel like God gives me, He kind of just pours ideas in
Yeah.
when we opened our mind to be open to his word and messages, then we hear him. But I won't deny that I struggle with that sometimes. Sometimes my ears are closed.
I get it. I get it. Well,
Yeah.
Catherine, it has been a wonderful inaugural edition of you being here on pjnet.tv, and I am just happy to welcome you to the team of our what we call programming partners. And folks, Catherine is no stranger to PJNet, but Catherine, thank you for taking that bold step to put yourself in front of that camera and put your, and you
Well,
know, with all the scary things that can happen. And
I
we
know.
appreciate, and we look forward to hearing now next week or next month. You will have published 4 blogs by then, so we'll have a lot of ground to catch up on. But we look forward to sharing as the Lord leads you at that time. And thank you again for sharing with us tonight. We're looking forward to more and more and better. It's just going to get
Thank
better.
you. It's been a joy to be here. Thank you.
All right. Love you, girl. Thank you so much. Pasour, her first, oh, look at that. The overhead view of the Eagle's Nest broadcast facilities right here at pjnet.tv. Folks, it is only getting started. As good as that was, it's going to just keep going and going and going. In just a few moments at 9:30, the bottom of the hour, J.D. Winninger will be our tour guide as he takes us on a trip around the Cross W Ranch. And he's got some stuff to, well, stick around. Don't touch it down. No, don't. It's so much fun being here, and we invite you to join us, pjnet.tv. Before I take a little break, I would like to exit by challenging you to ask yourself 2 questions. Very simple. Here it is. First one. What is the boldest thing you have ever done for Jesus Christ? That was easy, wasn't it? Maybe, maybe not. Here's one. This one may be a little harder. How long ago was that? I hope none of us will be satisfied with either answer.